Hello, I'm Ari, and today I have two journal pages that I'm going to do with you. Some parts are done in time lapse, like this beginning part, because I didn't want to waste your time as I was making decisions and cutting out parts. These supplies are from the Let's Make Art Journal subscription box. This is the wonky letters prompt where you paint an area and then cut out letters from it. In the end, my background ended up pretty dark, and so I had to actually go over these letters with white paint. So it's kind of ironic that I painted them and then had to use the white Posca pen over them. I tried to stay to what was in the kit or the subscription box. However, I also wanted to test the journal and see how it held up to some of my old art journal supplies. And so in this first example, I used some inks rather than the paints included, but I tried to stay to the colors. In the second example, I did add some gold acrylic paint. In this part of the video, I am just cutting out all my ephemera. So all the different papers and pieces I think I will want in my art journal page, I'm getting them all prepped and ready. So when it comes to designing the page, I can just put everything down. So that's part of my process, is get everything ready for the page before I start painting. Tell me below in the comments what your art journal process is. Do you go at it just freeform, just whatever comes to mind, or do you plan ahead? I'm kind of a person who sits down and just is kind of freeform, whatever ideas come to my head. So using this art journal box was a new experience to kind of have some inspiration first and then make a page. In this prompt, we were supposed to come up with a word that inspired our creativity. And so the word I chose was discover. What word would you choose for your art journal page? What word inspires you to get creative? As you can see, I'm collecting all my bits and pieces for this art journal layout and finishing cutting out the last few pieces. Here I decide I'm going to try some molding paste on this journal paper so we know how it handles the molding paste. This is golden acrylic molding paste, and I have my stencils. So I'm using the molding paste. And all I do is, if you have any of these I forgot what these things are called. If you have any of the stencils, you just kind of scoop around. And it leaves a little bit of texture on your paper. And that's a little thick, so I'm gonna have to take a break and let that dry. But I feel like I want to do that again. Open this corner. So remember, there doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to just go with what you feel. What do you want to put down? Where do you want to put it down? That's just kind of following your feelings for the day. That's all I think of art journaling is what do I feel like today? Do I feel like adding in some of this paste to create texture. You know, do I not want to use the colors suggested on the video? Do I want to go my own direction? So there we go. See, and I smeared it. It's a smear here and a smear here, a little bit of smear there, but that just adds texture. I'm liking that. I like how that feels. Now I have to let this dry, so I will be back once it's dry, and I'm gonna try some different mediums. We still might use some of the acrylic, but I'm also gonna layer in and try, I have some Delusions ink spray, because I want to see for you guys. I mean, one, who doesn't like a good ink spray in pink and yellow? But I also have blue one. Again, Delusions ink spray. Just to see how this paper holds up. It says it's a mixed media, so I kind of want to just test it out with you guys and see what this journal can do, because I'm really liking the size of this journal. It feels like it's a really great size. You know, it's a like maybe a 5x7, and I'm liking that. See, I just stuck my finger in that. All right, we'll let that dry and I'll be back. Okay, so I let that dry. I put down some paper towel because I'm going to use the ink, and I taped it to try not to get ink in the other pages. However, because of this binding, I may have some leakage into other pages, so I'm going to try to avoid that binding, but whether I'm able to or not, we'll see. So here's the texture. You see that of that modeling paste. Now to stick with this theme, I was going to add some blue, but I think I'm just going to add the yellow and pink and move forward with that. Because they've been sitting for a while, I'm going to just shake them up. What I love about spray inks, I know they're not included in the box, but I just kind of want to show you that, you know, once you have your journal and you've done the prompts for the month, you know, think about other things to get that you can explore, because obviously kind of want to let that run. See that vibrant yellow? How fun is that? And of course, I'm going to have ink all over my fingers today. And everything else. So, good. I'm just going to let that run, because I like the kind of runny effect. So spray ink is kind of a fun medium. And again, we'll let that dry. So I'm glad I taped it. Paper seems to be holding up really well to the spray ink. I don't like that this one is just kind of sitting there. I'm just going in and adding color where I want to. And I think I'm going to gesso this in maybe here. So to gesso a piece in instead of gluing, I just kind of really paint the back of it. And then the spot where I'm going to put it down, and kind of same thing. You want to make sure you're getting your edges. Come to think of it, I don't like the hard edges so much. Sometimes where I can, I just try to soften some of the edges. Right now I'm just trying to smooth out the gesso. Again, just making it a little. I'm liking this color going over the words, so you know I'm not like making a mistake. So I decided to stand out on the background. I need my letters to be white. I'm just going over them with the Posca pen. Alright, I apologize. I lost some footage of gluing down these things, and I put a little gesso over them. Now I think what I want to do Alright, so for this video, we did the Smile Daily, and then we did the wacky or wonky words prompt. I still have the enhance a drawing with collage paper to do. And who are the people I admire most? So that's where we're at. I think I may do all right, we're going to do one more spread, and then I think we will call this good enough for today. Well, maybe not. I will probably do a testing. This one, I want to put some color down. Of course, I'm going to go in with my vibrant yellow. All right, my person is Helen Keller, and I've always loved her story. When I was a little girl, I learned sign language, And I think I read every book I could find on Helen Keller. And what I love about her, I mean, her quotes are fabulous, but as a person, I think about what a good example of overcoming I don't know if you want to call it adversity, but she didn't let anything hold her back. She didn't make excuses because she couldn't see, couldn't hear. She made a life for herself regardless of the obstacles in her way. And that perseverance in the face of hardships, I think, has been a guiding light my whole life. As I said, I was, I believe, in first grade when I first learned about Helen Keller. And I feel like I've had a lot of reasons in my life where I could have given up and chose not to keep going. And I think her example of not letting things stop you has kept me strong. I think the people I admire the most in life are people that they're not famous people. They're everyday people that persevere. They're everyday people that, regardless, they live who they are. And I think that is another admirable trait in people. Is the ability to be who you are and let your life, let your spirit shine through you, through your art. This glue is really sticky, but it is water soluble. So as I was saying, I've had many reasons in life to give up, to stop trying, to throw in the towel and say I can't do it. I've lost people I love. I've been diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I kind of, I live in pain a lot of the time. But I try not to complain about my life if I can help it. Well, I don't complain about my life. I don't mind telling my stories. So even though there's been times I didn't think I could go on or wasn't sure I could go on, I've kept going. And so for me, Helen Keller is that example of a person with heart, a person who persevered, who didn't let the things that life threw at her stop her from becoming the person she was meant to be. So I also put a Ganesh. Ganesh is the remover of obstacles, and it's nice. I like his symbolism. It reminds me that obstacles can be overcome. I don't have to let circumstances hold me back. So this gold, I was going to use some gold acrylic. So let's talk about this art box. I'm really curious for your comments below as to what you're thinking about it. Have you seen this art subscription box? Is it something you would be interested in? I'll tell you what, I'm pretty happy with this box. I'm going to have to go back over this with the clear gesso. Once everything is dry, I will be going over that. So the only thing I did not try for you. This paper in this journal holds up really well to all the mediums I threw at it. So watercolor, inks, and acrylic paint. So far, it handled it really well. And the gesso, it can take pretty heavy layers of paint. So that's great to know, and I'm really loving this journal. Okay, so I realized I forgot. I did test the watercolor page, and I still have salt, and I kind of smeared onto the next page. But I kind of want to test out a few more things for you. Let's try some different markers on this page and see how it works. So the first thing I'm going to try is a Pitt Artist Pen. And I'll let you know right now that my handwriting is horrible. We have the Tombow. I think Tombow is going to be fine. The big question is the Copic. Trying to do a few little layers so we can see if it bleeds through. Yep. So we get a little ghosting here, and definitely the more we layer it up, we have ghosting. So if you're wondering, and then this is the water-based dye. Definitely coming through the paper. So this will not hold up to alcohol markers. But I almost like the Tombow over this, other than this kind of just soaks into the paper, and I guess that's probably why it looks so faded. Yeah, I really love my Tombow. Let's try sharing. Guess I'm going to go back to this purple. So here I'm trying a little bit of the Bombay India ink. My dropper does not work very well. Or at all. So that was Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay White India ink. And I think that held up well as well. So this journal works great on one more. So we tried the Pitt pen. I also have a Pentel pocket pen, which is a brush pen. And that held up well to that. So inks work really well on this. The Tombow markers, the Pro markers, all watercolor, acrylic inks, all are working on this. The only exception is, I mean, you can use it because you could, tie that in, but the alcohol markers, not so much for this journal. So again, I hope that helps. This, again, I love this square size. It's the Carpe Diem mixed media journal. So if you have a 5x7 travel journal, this would fit in there perfectly. I keep saying it's 5x7, but I actually haven't measured it. So it's actually 5x8. So you get a 10x8 area. So I was calling it 5x7, so I apologize for that. It is actually 5x8, and then you get a 10x8 rough square. But for me, this more square layout is perfect, and it's what I enjoy most working on, which who knew? Because most paper comes in, 9x12 or 5x7, that you're always working in either portrait or landscape. And there's just something wonderful about working on a square piece of paper. So I'm really enjoying this journal, and I hope that helps you decide if you want to try out this journal, depending on the type of art journaling you do. It held up well to the gesso and several layers. There's some curling, but I think if you left this under a book, it would flatten out. And on this page, it held up to the molding paste, the spray inks, gesso. It layered really well. And this was mostly the acrylic inks and some Posca markers. I purchased the April, so I will be doing some more. And if I fill out the rest of this journal, I will share it with you in the next video. I will also have a link below to the Let's Make Art website, and you'll get a $5 discount on a box or supplies that you order from that company. So if you're interested in that, the link will be below in the description. So I'm not finding that the glue sticks really well. So overall, I really enjoyed this Let's Make Art journal kit, and I'm actually going to pick up the April kit and do some more of this. I really enjoyed getting back into some of this art journaling. My favorite parts of this kit are definitely the journal and The only thing I didn't care for is the glue. I would have some other kind of glue on hand, or Mod Podge or gesso for these kits. For me, gesso is best because I can layer over it, I can paint over it, I can add details over it. It's meant to be painted over, so that's what I personally use for my art journals. I always have both white gesso, and what I used today was a clear gesso. So white gesso is going to cover up what's underneath, and the clear gesso is going to let the layer show beneath. I hope you enjoyed today's content. So thank you for watching. I'm Ari. This is Shamelessly Creative. Have a creative day. Bye.